This is Nick. You're listening to the DU Football Show, Drunkard United. Of course, up the Blades and fuck the Owls.
It's only a matter of time before your best friend comes back to the Prem, Sam.
Up the Owls. Fuck the Blades. They cost me $172.
Ah, the Owls got a replay, so do the Blades.
They do.
Blades got a replay against Wrexham.
Yes, they do, which pissed me off because it cost me money.
Well, and you know who's not going to be 15-time Cup winners?
Who's that?
You.
You're right. That's fine.
Let's start the show.
Born in the land of Bowie, Maryland. Bred to be a fan of fucking Everton. Punch you in the eye and drink your rye. Sam Houston.
Sam Houston?
Arsenal fans have another Sam. AKA the fucking Gooner Graham. Snub of my lord. Looks great in shorts. Sam Graham, hey.
Sam Graham.
Fucking United! Fucking United!
Hello and welcome to the DU Football Show, a completely biased recap of the FA Cup fourth round, is told by two common American schmucks. I am your host, Sam Houston, and across the way from me is the daddy of podcast hairstyles, my co-host, Mr. Samuel Graham. Sammy, how are you, sir?
I'm also the daddy of podcast cosplay.
Yeah, exactly.
Stock image podcast cosplay.
Just, oh my God.
AI generated podcast cosplay.
You're not beige enough, Sam. You're not beige enough.
I'd like to make sure everybody knows how we started off today, as we typically like to do. Producer Mel, meet Bus. Red Stripe, Jamaican for using the right board.
Brilliant. Fucking
all
brilliant.
right.
We're recording at the DU Public House just outside the nation's capital. You can check us out on all podcast platforms. Please be sure to rate, subscribe, review, and share with a footballing friend. Should you want to chat with us, chat with us, boy. Should you want to chat with us, there's many ways that you can. Mr. Graham, tell the good people how they can get in touch.
Just Google search stock images of football podcasters. You'll see me all over the goddamn gaff.
Sorry, Russ.
It is at DU Football Show on all the social medias and dufootballshow@gmail.com to get in touch via email. Join Drunkard United FC on Facebook. That's our closed group where all the bands happen, and you will see my side-by-side image of this stock photo, which is quite fucking funny and accurate.
Yep. And now we're losing the ball. And
Yep.
Are we losing the vest?
We're losing the vest.
'cause
Sorry, Alan.
It's a little warm in here.
My podcasting vest is gone. I've worn it long enough. The business is set into me. I'm ready to go.
Again, the business. Your inspiration. You just said the business is set into you.
Yeah, because of the vest. No, I'm all bit. Mel, the first photo she took, said the caption is Sam means business tonight. He's got his podcasting vest.
Well, because you idolize JB.
I do not. That's not what I meant. I didn't mean him. I meant the business of doing a podcast. A serious, off in the distance soccer podcast.
Wondering how you could be just like
No,
JB.
not.
Sam and myself both work in the wine and spirit industry and both have a deep passionate love for all things distilled spirits. So as the red-blooded Americans we vow to have a drink in our hand throughout this show and every single show. Mr. Graham, the list continues and we go with a little rye whiskey today.
Yes, we do. We have the blackened Kentucky straight rye whiskey. And that can be found, if you're reading along, in your Whiskey Advocate.
Mr. Graham just has to find the page because he didn't have himself prepared ahead of time.
I was too busy doing the photo.
He was focused on the bit and not on doing his job.
Much like Taylor in fantasy.
You know, well, actually, you were just taking it from the stock image. All of his stuff was closed because clearly he didn't
correct.
need it.
He didn't need it. I thought I had the blurb memorized. I failed. Sorry.
Sam, look off into the distance and tell the blurb. It'll be great.
All right. Black, blackened rye, the lightning, double cask Madeira and rum finished. This is a 90 proof rye whiskey. Should run you about $70 on the shelf. I've seen it in a lot of places, and I'm pretty sure the most I saw it for was $74.99.
Yeah, I didn't see it for much either.
Yeah, so this one nobody's really charging too much extra for, which is good. Panel rating 93 from the Whiskey Advocate. And your blurb comes from Shane English. This whiskey, a spring 2022 release from Metallica and master distiller and blender Rob Dietrich. Hits hard up front with an herbal and spicy nose. Fennel, anise cookies, and dank grains give way to dandelion and sweet grapes when water is added. The palate is crisp and spicy, showing great balance between the whiskey itself and the cask finishing. Lightning strikes again on the finish, which is extremely long and ties the entire sip together. More spice, more fruit, just more. And this is number 14, by the way. I think I forgot to say
very easy to find. I see it just about everywhere.
Yep.
So should not be that difficult to find. I think it's bloody fucking great.
Hold on.
Very good. Mr. Graham looking off again in the doing his stock image.
I
photo.
do think it is different with water, absolutely. It opens up a bit.
The
So
grape
do I.
sweetness. The Madeira and the rum really add a ton of sweetness to this, which dials down the pepper.
But that finish is still big pepper. It's still there.
Yeah. But not spicy pepper. Like sometimes rye can have that really aggressive spicy pepper thing going on.
Now, wasn't their original one a bourbon, and wasn't pickerel involved with it?
Yes and no. So there has been a bourbon since, which was a cash strength, which was, I believe, Jim Rutledge helped on that one. This was the final project that Dave Pickerel did before his passing. And it was an American whiskey. And he specifically wanted to be an American whiskey because he wanted to do a blend of everything. So it had some bourbon in it, had some rye in it, and had a wheat barrel was mixed into it as well, and a standard American whiskey, which was primarily a corn in used American white oak. So
Okay.
he wanted to blend all of those together and then finish them in black sherry barrels was what he used to finish them in. And of course, it was the sonically thing, which is what they do with all of them. Where
Yeah. They bump Metallica the whole time to shake the barrels as they...
Right. So instead of rotating the barrels, the music's doing it for you. It's making the juice.
It
jump around
agitates,
there.
right? It agitates the
Right.
barrel and moves the juice around. The reason I asked is I just noticed on the bottle itself, I don't know if you can see this, it says remastered by Rob Dietrich.
Yes.
So I didn't know if that was some sort of nod, like a musical kind of nod to Dave Pickerel in a a common music term.
Yes, and I would imagine if there's any other things that they're going to do, they're going to keep doing different master distillers to kind of come up with the idea. And I believe there's if you scan the barcode, it'll say the set list. That
I was going to say Black, and I think the original one, for some reason, and I might be wrong about this, but I think the original one, they only played the Black album.
No, it wasn't the case.
Okay, I thought that's where they got the name.
Because Russ and I, one of the shows that you were, I think this was right after your father might have passed, is when it was that Russ did the show with me, and we did the Blackened. He actually had gone, scanned the QR
That long
code.
ago?
Scanned the QR code. It might have been when you were on vacation. I'm not.
It might have been when Cameron was born, and I
could
was
have
out
been.
for a couple
Yep,
weeks,
could have
because
been
that
that.
would have been only a year after Dave passed, because didn't he die in 2019, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he died. Yeah, it was
56 to 19, wasn't it?
2019. Yeah, 2019.
Yeah, so that would have been, Cameron was born 2020, because this was still laying down.
Okay, so then it was when
he
Cameron
passed
was born.
away. Yeah, so it had to be when Cameron was born.
So it was when Cameron was born, and the set list that he had, it was it was from Garage Days. So it was the
Okay.
Misfits cover
I gotcha.
of the "I Got Something to Say, I Killed Your Mama Today," like that song.
Okay.
And
I just didn't know if that's where they got the name from.
I remember it
From the Black
because that was what we went out on that night with,
I
with
gotcha.
Russ when we did
Okay.
that.
Christian's watching in the chats, and he said that he hasn't bought that one yet because he thought it might be gimmicky.
It's actually not. It's
No.
fucking decent.
A lot of people didn't care for Dave's version. I think that those people were looking for a bourbon and not an American whiskey. And when you're blending that many types of whiskey together, it's going to be a little bit softer and a little bit lighter. I didn't think it was his best thing he's ever done, but I also appreciated what it was he was trying to do
Yeah, for sure.
with that.
And somebody like him trying to experiment with stuff, if Dave makes an American whiskey, you fucking buy the American whiskey. Like, he's a pioneer in that sense, and so good at what he did that if whatever he touched,
Right.
I bought a bottle of.
Right. Exactly. It was
Or pulled a sample.
Christian, I would say it's definitely the regular blackened is a little light. Again, it's American whiskey. It's got a lot of different things blended into it that are, light whiskey, corn whiskey, rye, wheat. It's very mellowed. It's not what you typically expect when you have a bourbon, which is really upfront sweet and very aggressive, or a rye, which is very aggressive and kind of, spicy.
Right.
This is much mellower. But I would say if you see this one, this is well worth the price of admission.
But that sweetness counterbalances the pepper very, very well. So you get that sweet and spicy. It's it's almost like a sweet and spicy soup.
Yeah, this
honestly,
is
in that sort of sense, with a nice alcohol heat over the middle. I really enjoy this, to be honest. And I'm kind of with Christian where I didn't I bought the original one, but I knew what it was in terms of being an American whiskey. Dave hadn't touched these, the last release and then this one. And so I was like, nah, I don't really care.
Right. And
my competitor sells it, so I'm not supporting them directly for no reason. I'm glad this ended up on the list, and I'm glad we're trying it. This level, I mean, we still have to taste the rest of the list to figure out where it falls, but this kind of feels right in the middle of the road. Kind of like, this is the traditional Brighton of the last few years.
Also,
good, but
also for me with this whiskey in particular, when you're talking about, say, like snacks or something like that, like, oh, this is something I could eat the whole bag, I could make this bottle disappear in a night real easily on ice, just drinking. That's one of those ones you're just sitting outside, you're having a beer.
This one you could definitely have the ice problem.
Yeah.
Where you never even out again.
Yeah, it's never ice or whiskey at the same time, so you got to keep adding both. Yeah, and you will reach that point, too, where you just look at it at the end and you go, well, where did this all go?
As you're falling off the chair, you realize, there it is. It's in me legs.
Yeah, it's in me. All right, what else we got to do, Mr. Graham?
Always remember to drink responsibly.
Excellent. Cheers, my good man.
Cheers, sir.
Let's try that again. There we go.
All right.
That at least had some...
Do you know the ancient
dainty.
why cheers is a thing?
No, please.
And why it was always so rough? Well, obviously it used to be with wooden or antler. Right? Or steel at one point, iron.
Pewter, steel,
yeah. But they would cheers each other hard so to make sure some liquid crossed over into each other's glass. And if you didn't fucking drink after cheersing, they knew you poisoned mine.
Oh, okay, very good.
Because some of my liquid got in yours and you knew.
If you were poisoning me.
I can't drink that now. Yep. That's how that whole became a thing. And that's why it's disrespectful.
Bless your little cotton socks.
Yeah, that's why it's not okay to not drink after a cheers.
I love it. Very good.
Also, fun animal fact, I forgot to bring up on Soundcheck in that conversation, which you can find at Patreon /DU Football Show, patreon.com /DU Football Show.
Mike Rogers told you that.
Yes, he did. Is
in a very well crafted email.
Is bats, not sharks. Use sonar location.
Very good.
Wrong means of transportation there.
Hey, we all make mistakes. Like forgetting to connect the board to the computer for sound check like last week. That's one of that is the only thing I've never listened to. I started listening to it and went, nope, don't care. Click, turned it off. Did not sound check myself on that one. So we take a break from the Prem to chat about the FA Cup's fourth round.
Yes.
Where we saw more Premier League teams bow out, including a couple of the Big Six clubs. Man City 1, Arsenal 0, Brighton 2, Liverpool 1, Leeds 3, Accrington Stanley, exactly, 1, Leicester 1, Walsall 0, Southampton 2, Blackpool 1, West Ham 2, Derby County 0, Tottenham 3, Preston North End 1, Manchester United 3, Reading 1. Gunners and Liverpool both bow out of the cup, but I would say very different ways of going out for sure.
Yeah, I thought we played very well. I thought there was purpose in what we did. We made a ton of changes, obviously. We had to eventually rest some players, which I am glad that we got a chance to do.
Did you have any red cards?
Nope.
Did you have any injuries?
Thought so. Turned out to be okay.
Then we're good.
Yeah, exactly.
Mission accomplished. Oh, shucks, we didn't win.
All right, George. They did very well, and I thought our kind of half second team, half first team actually played City very well, who put out a fairly strong lineup.
Agreed. Trossard looked fabulous.
Looked excellent, which is another key to what we were hoping for and doing. That signing looks a smart one, obviously, and just that he's fitting right in and betting in so quickly is such a key component of what we're going to have for the title race.
Yeah, exactly. Now for Liverpool, though, on the other hand, another lackluster performance. And I would like to say it's because Van Dijk's not out there, but they didn't look good when Van Dijk was out there.
They lost worse when Van Dijk was out there, remember? 3-0.
Brighton has their fucking number.
Yeah, they do. We all have these situations. I mean, Stoke used to do it to us all the time. Not that Brighton played in that manner, but
yeah, but it was an ugly 1-0, not a fucking dominance.
I mean, that part's true. And I thought Liverpool actually played better because they changed their game plan.
Right.
They gave Brighton the ball and tried to hit them on the counter in this game. They decided to show them the respect that they have earned this season. Under both Potter and De Zerbi. And De Zerbi's faced Liverpool now 3 times, I think, and he's beaten them twice and drawn once, if I'm not mistaken, in his first 3 meetings. So he's unbeaten against Liverpool. Liverpool look in a bad way. I don't know what they're doing, but they need either some new blood, some reorganization. I mean, Klopp's tinkering a lot, and none of it seems to be working.
Well, and then the moves that they made, I know Gakpo is a hell of a striker, and I think he deserves a move to a club like Liverpool. I just don't think Liverpool needed another fucking striker.
No.
At some point, everybody's going to be healthy, and you're going to have to try to figure out how to play
fit 6 people in. Yeah.
How to play these fucking guys. And in the meantime, so especially with Fabinho's fucking tackle on Ferguson.
Should have been a red card.
It should have been a red card.
Yep.
Jesus, that was violent.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a very definition of violent conduct.
It was
he
bad.
Went in
well,
hard.
he looks so. I don't know that I'd say violent necessarily. It would have been charged violent conduct. That's the way they charge things. I thought it was more because he hasn't played much football in the last couple of months. He looked rusty. He looked off the pace. He was late to everything he tried to do, and that tackle was an example of that. Ferguson had turned, and then he went, oh, shit, I'm supposed to tackle him.
Yeah.
And then landed on his Achilles. I mean, it was he should have seen straight red, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he was intentionally trying to hurt him. And he knew it straight away. He knew he should have seen red. That's why he was smiling like, I'm really sorry about that. That wasn't meant to be.
A few thoughts to Brighton, too, who are just cruising along. We're going to get into it in the third segment. We'll talk about Caicedo more, but the key string puller in the team was not in that game, and they still kept cruising along. And by the way, no offense to your most recent signing, but as far as Brighton's concerned, Trossard who?
Yeah.
Matomo.
It's awesome.
Hey, guess what? Here's a spoiler alert. On my list of fucking top 5 people of new signings, he's definitely going to be on that list, and he's going to be way up that list. $3 fucking million. That is what Brighton signed him for.
Big time. Yep.
We keep talking about like football and cultures, directors of football, things of that nature.
Yeah. Brighton's getting it right.
Fucking Brad ain't going to like to hear this, but you know what? Brighton is very, very much getting it right. Them being where they are is not a fluke.
I mean,
let's expect them to be there for a while, because the minute they Caicedo wants to go, fuck you, we'll find somebody else. We're good.
The hipster's choice that people who know football know this name, Monchi from Sevilla, was Sevilla's sporting director for fucking ages. That dude's Rolodex is packed with some of the biggest agents, biggest names, biggest everything, best scouting network. Yep. That he could muster up. Has a fantastic relationship with everyone, and that's why Sevilla remained thereabouts for fucking ages before he left. And then I believe actually now he might be back at Sevilla. But Brighton have found like a modern day Monchi. They just keep finding players down the couch cushion to come out, and it's like they're literally getting them for pennies. And you've got Arsenal and Chelsea squabbling over $6 million to sign Caicedo now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
insane. To close out this game, I do want to mention, and this will be a theme throughout as we mention the various games. I had a 7-leg parlay on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
That was 1 minute and 38 seconds from coming true.
Mm-hmm.
I want to thank Brighton for doing their part.
Matoma scored.
Ferguson, shot on target or more. 1. Shot on target or more. Ferguson. Did I just say him?
You said Ferguson.
Sully Marsh, 1+ shot on target or more. Yep, done. Matoma, 1+ shot on target. Matoma to score at any time. Obviously, he did score, so he got a shot on target. So did the others. 4 of the 7, done.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
If only Wrexham could hold on.
Just keep going down the list. Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it.
Leeds, Foxes, Irons, and Saints all advanced despite them playing a tough lower competition. Really, the only one of those three that was obviously decided, I think, right away was West Ham and Derby County, because the Saints had their hands full with Blackpool. The Foxes had their hands full big time with Walsall. I mean, they missed a penalty, and then it took a deflection for them to get the 1-0 win. And it was 3-1 Leeds versus Aki. And Gekla and I were talking the whole fucking match. Aki took it right to fucking Leeds.
They were trying to take their chance. They absolutely were.
They went solid at him. By the way, our friend, good personal friend of the show, Ben K, he was on the telly. I saw him.
We saw him, yeah.
I gave him a little tweet. I was like, hey, I saw you on the telly. He was like, yeah, you did.
There you go.
Oh, it was brilliant.
The other piece to that, I mean, just some real quick, so in case nobody saw it, Leeds did have 21 shots, 10 on target. Aki, though, had 15, 8 on target. I mean, like I said, they had a proper go at this. They didn't sit back. They didn't, 41% possession against the Leeds team as well. I mean, that's intense for a League One side. They did very, very well to assert themselves. Only got 2 yellows. And same number of saves as Leeds. No reds, obviously.
Their chances were early.
And they committed less fouls as well.
Their chances were early, and really, if just one of them had gone in, that game's completely changed.
Could have been a different, yeah.
And it took a worldie by Harrison from about 35 yards out.
Sure did.
About 2 feet off the ground into the lower fucking 90s.
It was a fantastic strike, that.
Like that, it took that for Leeds to have to be in front. And then Leeds made it 3-0. Once they made it 2, they made it 3 pretty quick after that. But Aki never slowed down. I mean, Aki really did give it to him. For a lower league, what's that?
2 minutes. Firpo scored and then Sinistera.
And then for a lower league side against a Premier League club, that's when they're in your building in the FA Cup. That's a magic of the cup kind of game. And Aki gave them everything they fucking could. That's for damn sure.
Oh, for sure. One of the things that one of the commentators says during the Wrexham game that holds true in any competition between a higher quote-unquote caliber of opponent versus a lower one. You could have all the physicality you want, or you can have all the speed you want. Either or in the lower leagues. And they'll get you by no matter what. Mm-hmm. The problem is as you move up the divisions, they're both faster and stronger in the same human being.
Right.
And that's the difficult part of dealing with them. So for Aki to hold their own as they did for so long against the Leeds team, who we all know is so helter-skelter, who is so physical and so fast, is an achievement. And it's awesome to see.
Well, we saw it firsthand when we went over to England and did our little tour of games. All of us watch every single weekend. We watch the Premier League, and a ball goes from one sideline to the other sideline in the air, 70 yards.
Yep.
And the other wing back brings it down perfectly with his foot and starts dribbling. When we went to go see Fleetwood Town
and
play
Pompey,
those balls happened. They also hit that guy's foot and went 10 feet in front of him.
Yeah.
You forget, because the only thing the bulk of us as footy fans in this, in the United States consume is
the top of the
Prem.
top. Yeah. I mean, the only exposure.
And we get angry when they make a mistake and it goes out of bounds. Like, how the fuck do you, like, you do not understand.
I could do a better job than that. Yeah.
How fucking hard that is to do.
Yeah. And, I mean, it's said also, I don't know if it's true. I think it's true, but I'm not sure that it is, that there's also a certain amount of helium put into the balls, allowable into the ball.
Right.
Which makes it obviously fly further, faster, harder, makes it swerve more, all that kind of stuff, because it weighs less.
Right. But bringing it down, that ain't easy to fucking do.
No, it makes it harder to bring it down, is what I'm saying.
It's insane.
Absolutely. So, but, you know, those of you that have watched the Premier League for a while will always understand and always remember the two teams that you saw play slower and just physical, and that was it. And they got by for a long time, and that was Tony Pulis' Stoke and Sean Dyche's Burnley.
Yep.
Too soon?
No, it's okay. Go ahead. It's, you know,
I can't wait.
You know what? My team's going to be fit. I can tell you that after seeing today's training session. They're going to be fit.
They're going to be fit, but it'll be such a wet blanket on the Premier League. It's not even going to be funny.
They had themselves a good run today. Good old run today. Spurs and Man U both cruise, but it took the second half to do so because it was 1-1 at the end of the first half for Man U and Reading. And Spurs were at 0-0 at the half with Preston
halftime
North
with
End.
Preston. Yeah, Preston gave it a go as well. They had a fair amount of opportunities themselves. Like I said, now they only had one shot actually on target, but the 5 opportunities they had, they were pretty clear cut. I mean, Tottenham fucked a few things up in that game. Ultimately, the class did rise to the top. And they had no issues getting through. What I found interesting from this game was the signing that was supposed to be with you, Arnett Danjuma.
That's too soon. Fuck you.
After he scored, fucked up and scored, because that was a miss kick that he got lucky on.
Yeah.
He and for the visuals, you'll get this. For the audio, I'm going to have to explain it a little bit. You know, you do the snake thing. You remember the Ben Stiller movie?
Yes.
Was it
Dodgeball.
it was Dodgeball. Yeah, it was Dodgeball. They do the arm across the chest, elbow on the forearm, and then the fingers kind of to a point altogether to signify a snake, which apparently, I'm sure, Everton Twitter has been calling him for about 10 days. Yeah? Does that sound about right?
Well, not really 10 days because it was
6 days ago it happened?
Right after Frank. And here's the thing. You can't blame the player. The player he had even tweeted about how he was excited about coming to the club.
No, yeah.
And wanted to be in that fight.
I think it's more your fans being frustrated.
Oh, yeah.
At him, at the situation more than it is them being mad at him as a person.
Yeah, because Frank got fired and he pulled out the request.
I could not find a single reference to him, like nickname the Cobra. I couldn't find anything.
Oh yeah, it's
about that. So he celebrates in this manner as he goes towards the camera, essentially, I guess, calling out the people on the interwebs,
calling him a snake.
Yeah,
exactly. Oh, don't worry.
Very enjoyable. That was enjoyable.
Allow me to just say, Everton supporters have covered themselves in glory so far this week. They've done a great job of that.
Someone that didn't cover themselves in glory was Andy Carroll.
Yeah, no shit.
I heard somebody describe him as a pirate that has been on the sea so long he's finding it difficult to adapt to dry land again. Because he looked like he was just falling about all over the place, like whether it be diving or trying to assert himself.
Definitely.
He should have been sent off separately from his 2 bookable offenses.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
It was terrible. It was a horrible performance. Also, I found enjoyable is that Tom Ince's dad, Paul Ince, great player for Manchester United, is manager of Reading, still there. He saved them last year from relegation. I didn't really notice this before. His eyes are too far apart.
Ah, very good.
Looks like an alien.
Oh, well, you know, it has been reported allegedly that some footballers eat crayons. So, you know, let's leave it there. Also worth mentioning.
Ripping it up in France, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
Your
Very
boy.
nice. Yeah, he is good.
His favorite color is gray.
Yeah, exactly. No, it was green. I thought it was. Green tastes the best. They're minty.
It tastes like broccoli.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what did Jack Grealish say? What did Jack Grealish say? He fucked up a really common phrase. Oh, so stupid. It's such a common, like, idiomatic expression. Like, let's cut the cheese.
Miguel Amarone is my personal hero.
Yeah, it's not that. It's something like, let's cut the cheese, or like, oh, we're the best thing since sliced bread.
Uh-huh.
In an interview, he said we're the best thing since sliced veg.
Oh, well, isn't that the case?
And then somebody, remember the city where they took it? They were like, point out or there was a villa thing. They were like, where's Birmingham on the map? And he just left. Oh, Jack's such an idiot.
Hey, but he can drop a sick beat when he's DJing. Also worth
At Gary
mentioning.
Lineker's nightclub.
Oh, yeah. Also worth mentioning, both Stoke, a cold, rainy night in Stoke, and Bristol City advanced a couple more championship sides into the 5th round. And what does Bristol City get for their advancement?
A trip to Manchester City.
Manchester City.
Yeah.
Because we got to make sure Manchester City gets their cakewalk. They
That's
don't,
it. They have to, especially since they're out of the League Cup.
And if they got to play somebody tough, it's got to be in their building. This is the case of you. It is.
That's right.
It is the Patrick Ewing cold envelope of fucking little of little balls.
That's right.
Every year for the fucking.
Now, Stoke and Stevenage, I have to. Part 2 of that parlay was Stoke to win. Combined with all those Brighton things I said earlier.
Yeah.
That obviously happened.
Oh, their penalty that they got for the third goal, soft.
That's fine.
So soft.
They still would have won 2-1.
And then Stevenage had a reason to be upset because 5 minutes later, down the other end of the pitch, equally as soft, and it didn't get called. It was like...
Well, he obviously dove because he's a lower league player.
When you're playing in a championship, I mean, let's face it, when you play in a championship building, normally there's makeup calls. It's like, maybe that was a little soft. I'll give you that one. You say there isn't, but there fucking is.
Mm-hmm.
It just happens all the time.
Referees are human too.
Are they now?
Dino is. And I'll tell you why.
Why?
It came to surface. He did a very random, on-the-street interview with Dutch television. Do you know how this came about?
Well, the Dutch, Sam, if you didn't know, a literal people.
Very direct, the Dutch. Basically said, hey, Mike Dean, why are you here in our country?
Weed? Please tell me his answer was.
It was not.
I'm here for the hashish bars.
It was not. Allegedly. What he said is my daughter and I pick one weekend a year, and we come over here to watch as many games as we can in one weekend. And they said, oh, really? Do you fancy Dutch football that much? Why? And he goes, no, not really. It's just easy to get around to the grounds. So being as literal as they are.
Yeah.
But yeah,
just easy to get
him
around
and his
to the
daughter
grounds.
apparently take one weekend a year and go watch as many Dutch games as they can.
Go
together.
Knock out 6 in a weekend.
Which is pretty awesome. That's pretty cool, but
pretty good daddy-daughter day,
kind
I'd
of,
say.
yeah, pretty humanizing from that robot spectacle.
Next up, a bunch of teams drew, leading to the segment to be called, Oh, so replays happen. Wrexham 3, Sheffield United 3.
Lastly, this is why it was a 7-leg parlays, because this was a double chance.
Okay, we're gonna get to that in a second. Let me read off the
By
rest
the
of
way,
the scores.
Graham was watching and he commented, Flam was watching and commented that your parlay made it to the 94th minute.
It did, of this game.
All right, can I finish reading the fucking
Go
scores?
ahead,
and then
read
we
the
can talk
fucking
about-
games.
Fulham 1, Sunderland 1, Luton City 2.
Luton Town.
2, Grimsby 2, Blackburn 2, Birmingham City 2, Sheffield Wednesday 1, Fleetwood Town 1, Ipswich 0, Burnley 0. What a fucking fantastic match Wrexham and fucking Sheffield was, in the most ugly, tough shithousery way possible.
Oh, yeah.
There was jersey grabbing, there was hard fouls, there was rolling around. There was
lovely.
It was all
It was
the
not league
tricks,
football at its best.
all the tricks got pulled
Oh, yeah.
out, and it was fabulous to watch.
It's not league football at its best.
In its utter and complete shittiness, it was so much fun to watch.
I loved Ryan Reynolds looking so very involved, but you got to think in the back of his business mind, it was like, this is great drama.
Yes.
This is going to be good for the brand.
Well, if Flam is still watching, hey, Flam, that's an entire episode of Welcome to Wrexham next season.
Yeah.
That fucking
That game. I love the two construction workers stealing the game. Did you see that? Obviously, there's no construction happening on the stand at the
Right.
end of the ground.
No. course not.
There were 2 people in full high-vis bodysuits, obviously their gear for the site.
Right.
Doubtful that security would be wearing that outfit. They had to be construction workers. Honey, I'm off to work for a bit.
They had to make sure their equipment was safe.
And just showing up. Diggers were parked there. Baskets on the ground, nothing being used.
They have
nothing
snacks.
being moved. They didn't. No, literally the one dude that had the high vis pants on as well didn't fucking budge from the spot he was standing in for the entire half. Because every time they panned back to that side of the field when Wrexham were attacking, bloke was just standing there with his arms folded, full on facing the field, no issue. And guaranteed one on the clock though. Mm-hmm. He just took in the game from his workplace.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Pretty fucking brilliant.
That's the one thing about the FA Cup that I love a lot is people stealing football in creative ways. And he obviously was like, I'm getting full out dressed for work and showing up at my job site just to take the game in.
And the beauty is nobody cares that they're doing it.
No,
They're
don't
like,
give a
"Go right
shit.
ahead."
Fuck no.
Hey,
It's like this a couple years ago, whoever it was that rented the cherry picker.
Yep.
And went up over the side of the ground that was only 1 story high. Mm-hmm. And they just standing there, just 3 friends splitting the cost of a cherry picker because the game was sold out.
The one that Tottenham was playing where somebody had to cut out a Jurgen Klopp in their backyard. Everybody's houses that were against that
They're all in the backyard.
They're all standing at the top of their fence in their backyard looking right over the stand.
Just drinking cans.
Nobody
just sitting there drinking cans of
nobody
beer.
gave a shit.
It's
Nobody
fantastic.
gives a
Yeah,
shit.
you can't. What do you do?
Please, just enjoy.
It's awesome. And that's I love that the FA Cup also provides that nostalgic look around the small old school grounds of England as well, It's just a lot of fun to see.
Wrexham definitely brought media attention.
Oh, for
like
sure.
CNN and a couple of the groups were talking about it, and they were talking about like the FA Cup and why it's the coolest thing ever, and like really going into details about it.
Fox NFL Sunday. They
Really?
Referenced it?
Yep. No, they had Rob was obviously at Lincoln
Doing the
Financial
tailgate. Yeah. He had a big tailgate he was hosting.
And they had the game on in his tailgate that he was hosting, and Sal Palantonio interviewed him at halftime of the Wrexham match. So that made
ESPN, apparently, I found this out listening to the Ramble today, because two of them do work. David Cartledge and Vitushan and Hatharaja do work for ESPN sometimes. That ESPN, there's been conversations at boardroom level, excuse me, to ride this Wrexham wave and make Wrexham America's team.
nothing wrong with that. It's a smart move. It's a smart move.
I
And
like
this
it.
This is the part that fucking Flam's digging on, because they're making a lot of money. But the things he's been kind of asking me, it's like, well, why don't they just tear down the whole stadium? And I was like, and fucking
it's the oldest stadium in the UK,
and infuriate the entire fucking town. Like, like they're having a hard enough time dealing with the cop end going down, which is uninhabitable. There we go. There's the word. Yep. And I knew I'd get there. Baby steps. Just got to work your way through it, you know?
It's going through all the Greek pronouns.
Yeah. You know what? That stock photo, I don't know what their pronouns were. I have no idea.
Fucking trans camels.
And that's the sand. The fucking sand. They're having a hard time with that stand being ripped down and rebuilt. And you can't literally have people in it. It needs to be ripped down and rebuilt.
Yeah, that's like our old race course stadium.
Yeah.
Here in this city.
Yep, the old Bowie race course. Yes.
No, the fucking Pimlico.
Yes.
That stadium's uninhabitable. Uninhabitable.
So the interesting thing about the match is Sheffield got off to a very early lead. You know,
yes,
very early
they
lead.
did.
And that's normally the dagger in a small side.
Of course.
And they also held on to that lead
for ages, 60 minutes
into the second half.
Yep.
And then it was like boom, boom, suddenly tied, suddenly up. And then the minute that Wrexham went up, the worst thing ever is to
the championship side got a red.
Yeah, but they got the
second goal first.
They got the second goal.
It was within
almost
30 seconds.
Right
a minute,
after.
Maybe tops.
Right after they got that goal.
That's right. And then the championship side got a player sent off. And I texted my brother, fuck, that red card is the worst thing that could have happened to me. Because Sheffield United's going to, either they are going to pack it in.
Right.
Wrexham's going to leave themselves exposed or go, let's play for the draw.
Right.
So Wrexham get that goal, and it was 8 minutes from time, 3-2.
Yep.
Against 10 men.
Yeah.
Just hold on.
That's all I was saying. The corner came, and I was like, when that corner came, I was like, gotta clear it. You gotta clear it. Come on, guys. You don't defend well. You've got to make that ball come out.
So in that parlay list, they add the double chance, right? Which is essentially this or this could happen.
Mm-hmm.
But they slash the fuck out of your odds.
Right.
Because you're picking win or win or draw, or the other side of that, draw or win for the other
The good
team.
news for you is you picked enough random shit that part of the odds didn't really kill
Didn't
you.
matter, right? So what I had was the double chance on Wrexham or Sheffield United.
Someone
the
wins.
only thing that fucked me was the draw. And with 1 minute and 30 fucking seconds left, Sheffield United came out of their shell for 2 minutes for a corner.
Well, did Sheffield United come out of their shell, or did Wrexham pull a Wrexham? Because if you watch the show at all, that's what Wrexham likes to do. They love to piss off Leeds, man. They beat a lot of teams 7-3.
Right.
Well, didn't we hear that the Ollie Palmer goal was a goal?
Yes, I was going to get to that in just a second. But good call.
Maybe they just didn't show a good replay where I was, but I didn't think that one actually crossed the line.
Get to your point.
Well, that's it. It
end.
fucked me. I had $10 bet for $172 return and 48 cents. Fucked in the 94th and 38th second, 94th minute, 38th second, which would have left, 2 minutes and 22 or whatever?
Right.
Cunts.
And honestly, the one
I'm
thing...
not watching another episode of Welcome to Wrexham because of it.
And the one thing
Have
Wrexham...
you watched any?
He hasn't watched any of it.
I have. I watched 2, actually, with Tegan. Thank you very much.
Well, hey, how about that?
Now, I'm not getting back in now. And I'm hoping next season is Welcome to Sheffield with the Owls, because I'm going to be right behind them.
All right. Anywho.
Because fuck the Blades, too.
Anywho. They were interviewing Ollie Palmer after the match.
Yes.
And the sideline reporter had said to him, by the way, it's been reviewed. That ball went over the line.
Really?
And you would have loved what he had said. This might get you back into liking him. It's a shame this tournament gets played by different sets of rules in different stadiums. And he goes, it would have meant a lot to have scored in front of the Wrexham fans today. It would have meant a ton. But in one stadium, it gets reviewed and it's a goal. And in another stadium, it doesn't get looked at at all.
He's absolutely right. I'm fully back in. The other thing was I heard they asked someone else, not him. And what I heard was that the best information that guy had was probably coming from Ollie Palmer himself. I definitely scored. What do you mean?
No, it was the sideline reporter.
Which is funny, but somebody did report that because they spoke to a different player post-match.
Yep.
And they were like, yeah, I think Ollie probably told you that, didn't he?
All right,
Which I thought was funny, just the immediate distrust. Yeah. It's like when you try to cross it, but it goes in because of the wind or something.
Right, exactly.
And I totally meant to do that.
That was a fucking shot. What are you talking about? That was absolutely a shot.
Yeah. I saw him off his line. It was fine. But yeah, no, it's annoying because you really wanted Wrexham to do it.
Well,
obviously.
and for Wrexham, it's in your building. If there was a chance to beat Goliath as David, that was the time to do it.
The nice part about it though is they get the replay. They will get the gate receipts as is per usual for somebody in the Premier League or Championship to give the ticket sales, all of the ticket sales to the lower league club.
Right.
You have in addition, obviously the documentary which is bringing money into the club. You have all of that stuff. And they're first in the championship at the moment.
With a game in hand.
They've scored 90 fucking goals already this season. And I was talking to my brother about it because obviously we talk about our sports bets constantly.
Giving up like 50 though. They fucking love to give up a goal.
But I texted him and I was like, man, this is what's happening. This is what I got. He was like, because he's out in Vegas right now. My brother is. And he was like, yeah, I'm not watching it right now, but I got the alert set up on my phone because I want to see what's happening. And so I texted him a screenshot of what I had bet, and I was like, all this has to do is find a fucking winner. I just need a winner. I don't care who it is for the money. And he was like, well, Wrexham have like 2 or 3 championship caliber players that specifically took pay cuts to help Wrexham and try to get out of the league.
Yeah.
And that's why they're killing it so much. It happens to be those players and that manager are championship quality, and they're playing in that division to help Wrexham go up, which is why they've scored so many fucking goals.
Mullen and Palmer are both league. They were both came from League One. Super
right, but
Poly
they're
Mullen.
from
like
newly relegated clubs.
Christian name.
Yeah, sorry, Super Poly Mullen.
But newly relegated clubs as well. So they played in the championship the previous season.
Yeah.
So there's people buying in from all over the gaff to try to get this team back into the Football League. And as of right now, they're doing a damn good fucking job.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
there's money coming in from everywhere because Wrexham was on the brink of fucking extinction.
Yeah.
Don't forget.
Yeah. Well, if you watch the rest of the show, they talk about that.
Yeah, well, yeah. But this is just awesome for such a local team. Also, over the weekend, good news for Ryan Reynolds. He did not promote it himself. The tweet went viral from one of the moms. 1,600 pounds he paid for a U12 team to get all brand new kits. So socks, shorts, shirts, tracksuits, just helping a local U12
Nice.
team.
Very good.
Yeah, good on him. It's lovely to see when you get that working class city mentality, small club, this, that, the other, and then bang, all of this shit is just fucking awesome. It's just a whirlwind of cool shit.
Easy to write it off as like Hollywood money, but I mean, he's an actor, of course.
Well, McElhenney did in that first episode. Remember, he was like, "Yeah, I mean, I've got money, I'm good, but I don't have gin money.
Yeah,
I don't have movie star money.
I don't have cell phone money.
I don't have
Deadpool
superstar money, or superhero money. Yeah. I don't have Marvel money.
Ryan does a great job of using his platform to elevate without making it all about himself.
Correct.
I
He's
even
excellent at that.
appreciated what he was wearing. He wasn't nothing flashy, like looked like an average Joe in the stands.
And was going nuts over it.
Oh, yeah.
The other thing was Blake Lively's story. Did you see this?
Yes.
This was lovely. I bought ESPN Plus just to watch my husband writhe in agony for 90 minutes. And then Mel texted us and said she and Carly would probably do the same for you and I.
Oh, definitely. Well,
Which I thought was quite enjoyable. And I said all you had to do was come watch the U18s a few years back, which you didn't do.
Ryan didn't take Blake. He took his daughter. It was
Which is cool.
Yeah, very cool.
It's awesome. The whole thing's very
in
fucking
general
cool.
Is good. Well, also because those guys get what they're dealing with. That it isn't, again, and this is something I've been explaining to our boy Brian, who's not a huge footy fan, is that you are a steward of the club. You will eventually
Which they
die.
use that term constantly.
The club lasts longer than you. Yes.
We've got a question.
Yes, please.
I believe this is Christian. He heard that the National League teams have to pay more than League Two teams for the same level players because League Two teams have TV rights or something to that effect.
Yes, that is the case. They do.
So they pay them physically less money, but it's more of their budgets.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so let's keep
A
it
lot
going.
of National League players also have second jobs because they can't afford to pay them enough money.
So Sam,
Because they don't have any of those things.
As you think about that loss, just sip on a Tito's and soda. It'll make everything better. Too soon. Fulham and Sunderland.
Very too soon.
Fulham and Sunderland had a really good back and forth, and honestly, either one of them could have won. It was a very open match.
It was.
The winner gets Leeds in the next round, and I fancy whoever wins that game to beat Leeds.
What you worry about for Sunderland, though, is they did have a couple of key injuries in the game, and two players that have now been ruled out for the season.
Ooh, that hurts, definitely.
Yes, but there are some exciting young players coming through, apparently. I heard David Cartledge, I read an article that David Cartledge wrote about, because he's a Sunderland supporter. So he writes about them frequently. Jonathan Wilson as well is another good UK-based writer to read who's Sunderland-based. And there were some young players coming through and stuff that won't, they're not like for like necessarily, but Sunderland shouldn't be lacking the quality to try to really get out of the not get out of the division, but force that playoff push as they were trying.
Well, Sunderland doesn't need to. Right now, they got back up to the championship.
They need to stay in the championship is the big thing.
But
they are
like they're
seventh or eighth or whatever
they're
it
gonna
is.
Be pretty fucking comfortable. That's exactly where they need to be.
But that's the point, is that they're trying to make a push on the playoffs, which would be amazing. But these two injuries really don't help, and they don't help the replay.
Right. So for them, it's fine.
But that being said, the stadium light is packed this season.
Yeah.
People are believing again. They're
Which
getting
is good.
back in that building.
Very good.
And that's going to be a tough atmosphere for Fulham to go into.
Oh, God, yes, absolutely.
Especially being so polite, because you heard what happened with ticket prices, right?
Mm-hmm.
They kept them low for the trial. That's why there were so many Sunderland fans.
Oh, nice.
They over-allocated them tickets on purpose. So they added an extra away section.
Oh.
And kept the tickets at £10.
How very Fulhamish
How
of them.
very Fulhamish of them.
So Fulhamish.
I heard their pies were piping hot, and the cider at halftime was hella cold.
Nice and fizzy, too. Perfect amount of carbonation.
That's right.
Did they let them take a dip in the pool, too?
I'm sure
I
don't know if it's finished yet.
They were like, come on over, have a little dip in the pool.
But yeah, and Sunderland are
Hey, we-
expected to return the favor when they get to the Stadium of Light. But the Stadium of Light holds, I think, 2,000 or 3,000 more people than
Oh, it's
Craven
a
Cottage.
huge stadium.
It's a big stadium.
Huge stadium.
Because they built it during the Premier League time.
Yeah.
But I think they're doing. It used to host fucking England games whenever they jaunted up north occasionally.
Yeah.
When Wembley was being built,
It's bigger than St. James, isn't it? I think it's bigger than St. James Park.
might be close.
Yeah.
I think they did what us and Tottenham did, where they added like 10 seats or like kind
Just to
of
be that much more.
yeah, just to be a dick.
For those you don't know, they kind of hate each other. Look up the Tyne-Ware Derby. They don't like each other at all.
But they but yeah, but apparently this season they've been selling games out every week. Kind of like people are back involved with the club. The city's really getting behind them, which is awesome because they were down in the fucking doldrums at one point. So good on Sunderland.
All right, we got to keep this going because we got a
you're
lot
right.
to fucking talk about in
You're
the
right.
third segment. Luton has their hands full with Leeds to Grimsby. In fact, Grimsby went up on them 2-1, and again, it was the went up 2-1. 30 seconds later, 2-2.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, literally right off of the kickoff. They will get Southampton next, and Southampton seems to be okay with doing well in the cups right now. They can't do well in the league unless they're playing Everton, unless everybody's playing Everton. But they don't, they're doing well in the cups. Also, we will see a League One side advance into the fifth round because Wednesday and Fleetwood Town both have a replay against each other because they finished 1-1.
Yes.
And then the last thing to mention, Blackburn and Birmingham City drew 2-2, and Burnley and Ipswich draw 0-0. For Burnley and for Blackburn, that's probably the one thing you didn't want.
Yep.
Burnley's cruising and is probably they keep doing what they're doing. They're winning the championship. But for Blackburn, they're right in the fight because 3 through 10 is 3 points apart for the most part.
Right, but even from Burnley's perspective, if you lose that kind of momentum, your confidence gets dented, whatever happens, in that sort of mental capacity or possibly injuries, an extra game now as well. Mm-hmm. So you've got fatigue to factor in. There's still about 6,352 games in the championship. There's every opportunity to drop 14 points in a row.
Mm-hmm. And the fun part for them is the Burnley Ipswich winner ends up getting the Wednesday Fleetwood winner. So the cool thing that'll happen with that in the quarters, at worst, a championship side, at best, a League One side will definitely make the quarterfinals.
Yeah, which would be awesome.
And, hey, we got to make sure Manchester City has somebody fair to play. Going a little bit longer than we want, and this I don't want to hold back because this is a lot of shit to talk about. It's time to check in on the Prem because the stories don't stop even if the league isn't playing. We're going to go ahead and start with the Moises Caicedo fucking debacle that's going on at Brighton. We very briefly talked about it at the top of the show, but apparently he wants to move out.
Yeah, so this one is a weird one. It's taken quite the turn. Chelsea put in a bid.
And could make sense. Graham Potter was his coach.
Brighton
Maybe
said
he wants
no.
to go play for him.
Yeah. They only paid $5 million for him.
Right.
Or $3 million, something
And it
like
was back in 2021, and then he went out on loan. So he's really
So
only played
just
about a year with them.
that. 6 months.
Yeah.
So
Now, mind you, in that 6 months, he has been the
excellent.
most impactful player on the pitch.
Well,
for
he
them.
was Yves Bissouma's replacement.
Yeah, and he's been nothing but fucking brilliant in that role.
Better than Yves Bissouma.
Yeah.
So Chelsea came calling. I think it was 35 or 45 million, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Brighton said no. Arsenal pulled to Chelsea and said, we'll give you 60 on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Brighton said no. Then Saturday, I think it was, maybe it was Thursday, Friday, this all happened. So Friday.
It had to be Friday because Saturday.
They played.
Right.
Yeah. So, no, they played Sunday, but I think it was still the 2 days before. Anyway, doesn't matter. Not the point. The day after all that happened, when Brighton rejected the bids, Casado puts out on Instagram a very obviously copy and pasted
"Sell me"
statement. And to the point where it still had like quotation marks in it, and it began with his own name.
Mm-hmm.
So
now, in all fairness to him, he also had an exceptional World Cup with Ecuador. Like,
correct.
Really.
Now, I think De Zerbi actually has handled the situation very well because he came out and said essentially that I don't think he's being advised correctly. Because it was I don't know if it was a language issue. I don't know. I've never heard an interview with him, so I don't know how good his English is or whatever.
Right.
But his Instagram post was a very obvious copy and paste from someone else.
Mm-hmm.
You would imagine probably his agent. Hey, this will help you force a move.
Right.
Or, whatever. Do this.
And
so De Zerbi's come out and said he's 21 years old.
Yeah.
He was playing, at what Benfica or whoever it was. They paid $3 million for him. I don't remember who it was, but somebody along those lines. They paid $3 million for him or $5 million for him, and now people are offering 8 and in some cases 20 times that valuation.
He's still a 21-year-old kid.
Correct. So his head's been turned. That's obvious.
Right.
De Zerbi thinks he can get him back into the fold. Brighton don't want to sell. Brighton don't really need to sell is the other thing. Problem is if they do sell, the one position we haven't seen anyone else, because like Trossard, you go, oh, fuck, what's that? Well, Matoma was already banging him in.
Mm-hmm.
Ferguson had a couple since the World Cup. And then you go, okay, they'll be fine in that position
why am I
without
forgetting
Trossard.
the kid? The one who had the heart problem left.
Mwepu.
Mwepu's come back, but you can't expect
He's in a
him-
coaching role.
Player coach. I thought he was so good.
He's coaching like the U16s or something.
You don't necessarily have the depth. And for them, like the move to Chelsea, I mean, I hate to disappoint you. Brighton's going to finish ahead of fucking Chelsea.
I think so too.
Brighton's probably going to play in Europe next year. Why do you need to leave, kid? You don't need to leave yet.
Well, I don't think it's his fault. I think De Zerbi's spot on here is what I'm saying.
His agent's telling him, oh, you got a chance to go play for this big club. And what
you
they
got
don't
a
realize,
chance to win the league your first season in the Premiership.
And what he doesn't realize is he'll go to a club, be it Arsenal or Chelsea. He makes
it.
And then he gets
Chelsea
on the
will probably play.
He gets on the pitch and he makes one fucking mistake.
He's dropped or loaned out
and he never fucking sees the pitch again. Ever. That's how it is in a big club. You need to be fucking ready.
That's exactly
you need
right.
You need to impact that team right the fuck away.
That's exactly right.
And for him, you're right with De Zerbi. His head's being turned in the wrong fucking direction, man.
But he's trying to handle it well, De Zerbi. He's doing a great job at man management. That was one of the concerns when he came, was how is he going to handle the press and this, that, the other. And he's done a fantastic job.
I don't disagree with how he handled this one.
Not me either.
You know what, kid?
He's doing great.
You're off this weekend. You're off. Go.
Get your head right.
You're good.
Stop talking to your fucking agent.
You're good. You're not hurting my feelings. I get it. You just did well in the World Cup. You're definitely an impact player. You're probably one of the best young players in this league right now.
He went from being loaned out from a mediocre side to playing balls to the wall in the World Cup and being better than the person who he replaced.
Absolutely.
Straight away.
Absolutely the case.
Full breakout season, and he's only 21 years old. I mean, I was turned by the first craft beer I saw when I was 21 years old.
Yeah, exactly.
This kid's being suited for 60 million from Arsenal.
Right.
And apparently late Sunday night, we offered 70 for him and Brighton turned it down as well. Very early in the wee hours of Monday morning.
I would say for Arsenal, that's not the signing you need right now.
No, but we do need cover for Partey. I think Friday kind of freaked a few people out.
Yeah. Yeah, but
because
I think you find a loanee, and
But also El Neni got injured and
Yeah.
a proper injury.
That's the one that
now
hurts.
he's
is you
nowhere
lose
near
something.
as good as Partey. There is a drop off there. However, he's serviceable.
He can drive the bus. He can do what needs to be done.
And with him going off the pitch, Partey going off with that rib injury, that now is the fears have been alleviated. There's no issue. He's available to play you guys on Saturday. The concern is fuck, now what? Because Lakanga came into that game on Friday and looked like shit.
Yeah.
So it was like Arsenal's like, fuck, we got to sustain this title challenge. What do we do? This is an obvious weakness in the side.
Yeah.
And so I think they're kind of scrambling a little bit with the deadline approaching to find a backup to Thomas Partey, and they're willing to pay over the odds because we're in the last 36 hours of the transfer window.
It's true, but I also think you could move Ben White into a defensive midfielding
Absolutely.
role,
And the
I think
Polish
you would be-
dude.
Yeah, I think you'd be okay. You got depth. You've got depth.
Speaking of our Polish defender signing, who can also play left back and defensive midfield, quickly, with that meme that I shared of Matoma
You mean Pete Wentz?
juggling. I do mean Pete Wentz.
Yeah.
Of Matoma juggling and Matip or Gomez, whoever it was, twerking on the floor.
Yes.
I would mention, since we talked about Pete Wentz, Polish Pete Wentz, his wife was the runner-up for the European Twerk Championships. And Mel, while you were away, not keeping me in line, definitely watched about 14 videos of her twerking.
Was it championship worthy?
And I'm not going to lie, it moved.
Beautiful.
And I thought all the misogyny thoughts, and it was fantastic for about 12 minutes until I got caught by my wife because she had to come into the bathroom for some nail clippers.
What you watching? Yes. Unfortunately for me, every time I'm on TikTok, it'll be something sexual when she goes, "What you watching?" I'll be like, "I have just watched 20 cooking videos in a row." And then there's a girl twerking, and that's the one you walk in. That's the one you fucking walk in
Yeah,
on.
if you're so inclined, do yourself a favor and take a gander. It's worth it.
Speaking of things that are out of fucking control, Chelsea fucking Football Club spending all the money. Apparently now they want Enzo Fernandez, and they want to spend 115 million because the 108 on Murdoch wasn't a fucking enough.
His release clause. Now, I don't know what Spanish and Portuguese law is. I know they have to at least entertain the offer.
Right.
But if somebody were to offer a release clause money,
right.
I don't know that the club is allowed to turn it down. I'm not sure what that law is necessarily.
His release.
So, but why offer over the release clause?
That's what I was about to say. The release clause is $100 million. Here's 115. We just want to make sure.
If that's the case, I would look into Todd Bowley's past because it sounds like he has issues with the mafia.
So what I appreciate about that, just
That's a big mafia move.
On an Everton point, the whole reason why they've gotten to Enzo Fernandez is because they wanted Caicedo, and Caicedo, Brighton saying no way in hell. This one I like. They wanted to get Onana. Everton didn't say no. Onana said no.
I like that.
I like that a lot. I like that a fucking
I like that a lot better than Anthony Gordon's response.
he's a few lines down here.
I
We'll
know.
get to him.
Hey, that's called a transition, Sam. Maybe you should look that up.
Yeah, but we
Okay?
still got to talk about how financial fair play clearly, much like our tax laws, do not apply to the rich.
As I told you earlier today, in our pre-show meeting, production meeting, we're calling it now.
Yes.
Financial fair play is like any other law, can only be applied once it's broken. You can't apply it currently, and the books don't get turned in until the end of the season for the fiscal year. So I think Chelsea will have a transfer ban again, which is why Todd Bowley's looked at it and gone, I'm going to buy everybody.
Oh, well, I mean, he is the owner of the fucking LA Dodgers. He does not care about money. Money does not matter.
Right.
So what's the luxury tax? 110 million. I get penalized for more if it's 125 million. Well, I might as well be 150 million. That is exactly the way that man thinks.
That's exactly right. And that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
Because I think they will get found out again, especially when they finish outside of the fucking European places.
Well, and here's the thing that's going to
Don't
bite him in
forget,
the ass
because
too.
they will.
is understand this has become the thing now with a lot of clubs. You guys were doing it first, and now more and more of the big 6 clubs are starting to do this. It's deferring the payments. It's paying over 10 years. The problem is,
when
that player, especially at a big 6 club, because the next guy we get to has only been at his club for a year and he's already out of favor. Like, how many people do you look at in football that have a great year and then they're gone? Like for you guys, Torreira, he was the player of the season for you.
Guendouzi's a better example.
Gone.
Guendouzi's just in and out of the team for the year that he was here. Wasn't even a regular starter. Torreira was at least a regular starter and then fell out of favor. Guendouzi was in and out of the team under all of the managers that took over.
Pepe, you're still paying on Pepe. Pepe was a 6-year deferred fucking payment.
But that's the thing, right? And then so you try to find somebody to sell so you turn a profit that fiscal year.
Right.
And that's exactly what they do is they defer these payments. It's a rich people's scheme.
Yeah.
One that Mashiri can't seem to figure the fuck out.
No, he definitely can't. He just went in 2017, sign them all. Every number 10. Don't care.
All up front.
All of them.
Here's the check. Just sign it up front.
Here's $250 million. Just go get me what I want.
Exactly.
All the 10s. All the fucking 10s.
But that's the thing, is you would think that these people, these corporations, and now eventually there will be some sort of forensic accountant 20 years from now that'll figure out that all the oil states, that all the that own football teams, that all of the Todd Bowleys, the slumlords, all the people that own football teams have been, kind of skirting the rules, doctoring their books like Juventus, or deferring these payments over such extended, massive periods of time. That is kind of non-standard business practice kind of thing.
Hey, Mel, real quick.
And they're going to get found out.
He said forensic accountant. Let me find out my brother's going to fucking bring down all of English Premier League soccer.
I mean, he's working on Facebook right now, so it's only a matter of time.
It's entirely
he
possible.
Is a forensic accountant.
That's what I'm saying. It's entirely possible. I mean, what was that Matt Damon movie? Was it Matt Damon?
I don't know.
It wasn't Matt Damon. It was the other Boston
It was the other one called The Accountant.
Yeah. What's the Boston guy? It wasn't
Ben
Matt
Affleck.
Damon. It was Ben Affleck. Wasn't it?
And the movie was called
The Accountant. Yeah.
But he was a hitman. Is Kenny going to suddenly start running around and shooting Todd Bowley in the head? Allegedly.
I mean, not being shaped like a Proud Boy. No offense.
You know what? The Proud Boys.
All Todd Bowley has to do is figure out how to take all of his plastic surgery and walk at a brisk pace.
I got to tell you, the Proud Boys have a philosophical difference about my brother. So, João Cancelo is about to be loaned out.
Unless it's behind closed doors.
Is about to be loaned out to Bayern, apparently after on the training ground, Cancelo and Pep had a physical altercation between the two.
It doesn't surprise me, to be honest with you.
Before I even get to letting you talk, let me say the following about João Cancelo. He may not have won Player of the Year last year, but let's make this very fucking clear. João Cancelo is why Manchester City won the title last year. He was hands down the most impactful free agent signing, or transfer, but to explain to American audiences, he was the most impactful player bought by a team that fucking season, and he was directly responsible for why they won the fucking title. And in less than a year, he's being loaned off.
Yeah. So he's a very good player, but it does not surprise me. You know what surprises me is these stories don't come out more often. And I'll tell you why. Because Pep is so fucking intense.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many. It happened after Bayern. It happened after Barcelona. When he first got there, Deco and Ronaldinho showed up to it. When he first got hired from Barcelona B to be Barcelona's first team coach, Deco and Ronaldinho showed up drunk to a training session from the night before, right? They were out of the club within 3 months because they thought that he was a bad example for Lionel Messi.
Wow.
For the young players coming through, but especially Messi. And Pep plays no fucking games about that kind of stuff. And if you...
Mane at at Man City, not Sadio Mane,
the German one.
Mhm.
Leroy.
Yeah,
Sane.
Yeah.
But so Pep is so intense and so right, and so he comes and changes the entire culture of the club, the entire culture of training, the entire training routine, the whole fitness routine, just all of it, and it's so fucking intense all the goddamn time, right? That all these players come out and they're like, yeah, we're just exhausted, we're spent. That while he's there, we're doing this, that, the others. Yeah, but you're winning games. You do it, yeah, because the system is so airtight that they give him compliments, but they always complain about how exhausted they are, how intense it is, and how they can't keep focus. Which is always all the time talking about this, that, the other. Da, 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 da. But then when they leave, when Pep leaves, you have Thomas Mueller and Philip Lahm and a couple others organizing their own training sessions because Ancelotti's are too lax.
Right.
So they feel like they need to do more work because they're not doing enough work.
That's going to be kind of what we get into when we talk about the new appointment at Everton as well.
Right.
That's
So they start organizing
their
their own training sessions and their own off the books things at like local parks so they could get the intensity back, because when you're in it, you hate it. But once it's gone and people let you free and you're like, oh, I could probably have a cheeseburger today. And you do, and you go, well, fuck, we tied 1-1 at the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I was moving a little slower. Maybe I wasn't thinking as sharply. I had too many beers the night before or whatever. I snuck a, 6-pack into my room, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fucking Oktoberfest, for Thomas Mueller,
Right.
whatever.
Right.
And you have those couple of beers, and then you go, fuck, what? Pep wouldn't let me do that.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm not getting the best out of myself. I crave that. I want that. I need that intensity back now. It's like good heroin. Like good for you heroin is what it's like. So intense, right? It's like so good, and then you're chasing that high once it's gone. You know what I mean? It's like heroin that is good, that would be good for you, because it's really about physical aptitude and fitness, right? At the end of the day, and mental sharpness, which is a positive thing. But it's like that same fix that while you're in it, you're like, I hate my life. I don't know what I'm doing. This sucks. But then it's gone, and you're like, God, fuck, I need that back. I want that back. How do I get that back?
Yeah. Continuing on, this actually got officially confirmed today, just right before we did the show. Weston McKennie is now going on loan from Juventus to Leeds United with an option to buy at the end of the season.
Is there any word whether or not he got stopped by British Customs since they left the European Union?
Yeah.
To check his paperwork and make sure it was all up to speed?
Heard. Yeah.
Considering where he came from.
Yeah, that's the United States where they stop black people and question them.
No, I'm talking about because Juventus' books.
Yeah, true. Very true.
Because of the shady dealings of the old lady.
There's part of me that's very excited about this move, because honestly, it's
I'm sorry. This wasn't Customs and Border Patrol. Mm-hmm. This was British IRS, Her Majesty's Revenue and Tax Service.
Yes, I'm with you on that. I got the joke. I just didn't laugh as hard as you did.
I know.
Sam.
I just want to make sure everybody knows I'm not talking about the fact that he's black. I'm talking about the nefarious dealings of Juventus Football Club.
Well, that's why I said England isn't like the United States, because if he was getting transferred to DC United, there might be a check. Just saying. But our fucking people. How our country fucking is.
But I didn't say that. Late. Just saying.
But for him, it's McKennie and Adams together. Like, this is going to be fucking great. But in the same regards, Leeds are in a bad way right now. And the one thing that's going to be very easy for all of England to gather around, including the people of Leeds, is, God forbid this team goes down, they'll be like, it was all the fucking Americans. It's their fault.
Of course.
It was Marsh. It was McKennie.
But I don't think it's going to be. I think having him be more comfortable, Tyler Adams, I think is going to help.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, he's younger, he's a bit more inexperienced, but I think Brendan Aronson will be better than Christian Pulisic.
Yeah.
I think he's just as skilled. He just doesn't have the experience and composure to finish yet like Pulisic does.
Now, typically in the World Cup, those three didn't play together because normally it was Aronson coming in for McKennie.
No, coming in for Pulisic.
No, he came in for McKennie a few times in the first couple of matches. They had
maybe changed shape. Yeah.
They had him playing a lot of midfield in the World Cup.
So what I see from this is Tyler Adams and Weston McKennie, because the one thing we did very well in the World Cup was controlled in midfield in each of the games that we had. I think this is going to help Leeds calm down,
including fucking England and Holland.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think it's going to help Leeds calm down and control games better and be less helter-skelter. And then you add in the runs and craziness of Aronson and Jack Harrison.
Yeah.
I think Leeds are about to get more dangerous than they already are.
Yeah.
And more composed and calm defensively. This can only help Leeds.
The biggest thing is with Leeds. Leeds is only in this situation because their defense makes ghastly fucking mistakes on a regular basis.
Leeds are only in this situation because they sold, what's his name? Who was Declan Rice's partner? Brain fart. England International. Calvin Phillips.
Yeah, Calvin Phillips.
Sorry, brain fart.
It's all good.
It's the only reason they're in this position is because they sold Calvin Phillips. If Declan Rice was not part of West Ham being in the relegation zone right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That player is so fucking important.
Declan Rice is right there. I mean, West Ham's right there in the relegation
Well, I
zone,
know, but
yeah.
Declan Rice, I think, is single-handedly keeping West Ham up, essentially, because he's keeping them organized.
Well, especially
he is so good.
Especially because a player like Souček, who was a rock star for 2 seasons, now is the slowest man on earth. And
Correct.
Has been costing him matches.
And without Calvin Phillips, Leeds has suffered in midfield big time.
Oh, gosh,
and I
yes.
think this replaces Calvin Phillips to good quality and brings Leeds back into a organized unit that can actually fucking do something instead of a, crazy, helter-skelter kind of situation.
So also official over the weekend, officially announced on Sunday, Anthony Gordon leaves Everton to go to Newcastle United for $40 million plus 5 in add-ons. And a very interesting situation. I'm not going to overly blame Anthony Gordon in all of this because he's a 21-year-old kid, right? And
Concedo issue again.
right, you just don't know any better, and you're probably being misled by the wrong people, aka your agent, which I know it's your agent's job to have your best interest and to only care about you.
Yeah, but he's worried about the payday and the Saudi money.
And that tends to come into play as well. What ultimately happened was after the Southampton match, Gordon was leaving the grounds, and a group of teenagers put cones in the street where he was driving out, stopped his car, surrounded his car, and started screaming at him, telling him he's not fit to wear the badge and shit like that, which fucking not cool. Not fucking cool at all.
So just a background to that is apparently he was in Liverpool's academy and rejected and walked across Stanley Park and joined Everton's academy and was welcomed with open arms and fully bought into the system. This is the thing with Tom Davies, who was an integral part as well last season in staying up in the performances that he put in.
Well, not so much last season, the season before.
When he got onto the pitch.
Right.
Because he feels Everton through and through.
Right.
And when Gordon had the Evertonians at his back, he performed brilliantly. When the tables turned and they started booing and things were happening, he was one of the ones that felt it. Davies doesn't jump ship. Gordon does. That's a problem because your mentality and your togetherness as a group is the people's club and all this other shit is what pulls you through these sorts of situations. And for him to bin off his academy upbringing and the way he obviously felt about Everton as a football team, I think is not detrimental to the point where it's going to decide whether or not you get relegated. Right. But it does not help the situation at all.
No, it doesn't. And then to continue that is then after the fact, he then was like, well, I'm sick. And Frank was like, no, fuck you. You're going to London and you're going to be on the bench for the West Ham match. And then after that, Frank gets fired. Leighton Baines takes over training the club. And for 3 straight days, Gordon doesn't show up. He says, fuck you, I'm not coming in.
He
Which
ruined
that's bad. That's a bad look on his end. Again, I don't necessarily blame the kid. Fuck, your car was surrounded. You were trying to go home. You felt in danger. Like, we've all been in situations where we've all been kind of aggressed against, right? And we all like to be like, oh yeah, I'm a man, I'm gonna throw fists. No, we all, our fucking heart races and we get nervous and we get scared and that shit fucking happens. And even if we stand tall.
Yeah, but you got to fight through that and fight for yourself. Look who you're talking to. But I had no sympathy for the little cunt.
But even if we get through it, at the end, we're like, yeah, I was a man. But you knew in that moment there was a little bit of fucking heart race. There was a little bit of scare.
Yeah, but you also have the opportunity to get out. These people are on your side. They're just really frustrated.
Yeah.
This isn't a drunk guy at a bar that you can't reason with. So get out of the car. Guys, what are we doing here? Man. I want to win just as much as you do.
Well, that's what Yuri Mina did. Yuri Mina stepped out of the car and went, I'll die for the club.
And at the end of it, of those 17 people standing there was one dickhead, and the other 16 were like, yo, shut up. Shut up.
He said what we wanted to hear.
He said what we wanted to hear.
He cares.
How many times have I diffused a situation before it came to fisticuffs?
Right. True.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can now, again, granted, he's 21. He doesn't have the life experience I have. But you got to be able to do that. And especially with the way he was rejected by Liverpool and joined Everton and brought up the Everton way, this is not what you wanted to see. And then for him to go out in this manner, not showing up to training, just
considering not showing up to training when he was 11 years old and got signed, the first picture he took was with Leighton fucking Baines. So it's Leighton fucking Baines running the training. Yeah. And you're like, yeah, fuck these guys.
It speaks to a silver spoon and something that Everton is not associated with, and it's not fucking okay.
Well, and
he did a lot to ruin his own thing. Did you see, probably because you all fancy a number 10 so much, the viral tweet that was going around of the two boys? They had cut Anthony Gordon's name out of the number 10 shirt because they wanted to keep the number 10 shirt.
Right.
And burned his name in a fire pit in their back garden.
Just the Gordon name.
Just the name. But they kept the number 10 Everton shirt with a big-ass hole in the back because I'm sure they'll just be able to sew something new right in there before the end of Tuesday.
Now, here is we go on to the bigger systemic problem that is Everton and Everton's board is there was legit people who wanted to sign Gordon in the summer. Gordon's head apparently was already turned in the summer. What does Everton do? We'll put the 10 on him, make him feel important. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, that doesn't work. Now, I will say the following. 40 million plus 5 million in add-ons. Thank you very much, Newcastle. I will gladly take your fucking money. We can reinvest that elsewhere. This is no different than Ross Barkley. This is no different than Jack Rodwell. This is no fucking different.
So how many crayons can you get for 35, 40 million?
A lot. And that's that. But what sucks is the disformity of our club and our board. That's when that move should have been made, was during the summertime. Not put a 10 on them and make that fucking sale.
Well, because in the summer he was worth 60.
And allegedly it was about 45 to 50. What we got.
Well, it was Todd Bowley, so it was 65, 70.
Right. But we had
you would have said, hey, it's perfectly fine to pay me 45. And he'd have been like, oh, can't do that. Here's 78.
And during the summer,
he's a fucking idiot.
Even if it was right at the end of the summer window and we did that, we then would have had that money January 1. Mm-hmm. We now have that money January 29th.
Yep.
And teams know we now have that money on January the 29th.
So every midfielder costs $39 million.
Oh, they've already linked us to Conor Gallagher, which I would fucking take. I would take in a heartbeat.
Absolutely.
But for $45 million is the number they're saying.
So you take
exactly what we just sold Gordon for.
Try to take him on an £8 million loan.
That's what you hope for.
Yep.
Honestly, that's what you hope for. And then let's move on to, obviously, the other big move is that...
Oh, hold on.
Yes.
I have a good link.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's not crayons, Sam. Maybe it's different color earthworms.
Exactly.
Bringing up our next topic of Sean Dyche.
Sean Dyche is the new head coach of Everton Football Club.
Sorry, I got bit by the transition bug when I was hosting last week.
So continuing with
so to speak.
Our dysfunctional board.
Brilliant.
The owner wanted one person. Oh, by the way, the owner that said it's not my decision and then was the decision maker to fire Frank.
I'm so funny.
Just fucking baffling. And then after that, he brings in Bielsa to interview. Bielsa did his tried and true favorite, Sam. The thing you love.
Oh, did he bring a PowerPoint?
He brought a PowerPoint,
Get
baby. And here's what Bielsa actually offered.
I heard a mad story about this, and I think it's what you're about to tell me.
Here's what Bielsa offered. He goes, this is what we need to do. Completely restructure the entire organization. There needs to be a look towards how the type of youth players we bring in. I'm not applying to be your head coach right now. I'm applying to be your youth coach until the summer, and then you can sign me on to be your head coach, because I am going to fix your organization, because your entire organization is fucked currently.
But he also offered up his staff, minus the translator, obviously, his staff to take over the first team till the end of the season.
Yep.
Right? And he would work with the U21s
To build up the talent.
The talent to be able to freely invest in the squad.
Yep.
Right? To bring in the academy players to be able to play the way he wants to play, maybe sell some things, fix the finances. And Mushiri looked at it and went, that seems like a lot of work. I normally just sign checks.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
So no, can't.
And then Kenwright, who owns, again, 1% of the club, yet somehow makes 99% of the decisions in this fucking club.
So, I heard something else. He made his money in musicals.
Yeah, he was an actor.
Yeah, but he owned like a production company.
Yeah, he was a producer of musicals, but he was an actor when he was a younger man.
And I heard somebody make a joke.
You brought up this point about Bill Kenwright. He was in 4 episodes of Zed Cars.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
So I didn't know. So the story I heard about this and where I became aware of him being in the musical game was musical as in production musicals like Cats, was
Wow.
that he basically
That was obnoxious.
was that he made most of his money in the West End of London putting on musicals.
Right.
Didn't know there was that much money in the musical game, number one, right? But somebody I heard recounting a story of how they found out about him being in musicals was he was just walking down the street in the West End, like on the way to get lunch, and saw Bill Kenwright on a poster outside of a theater venue and had no context for it because he never heard that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, is there like a meet and greet? Like, what is, like, what's going on? Why? What's the crossover? This was on another podcast. The co-host replied, "Did you walk inside and see an underwhelming production of Cats?" Which was, I thought was funny because that's what, and until he said it, I couldn't put a finger on it, but that's what Everton's been this season, was an underwhelming performance of a musical that I think is shit anyway.
Did Bill produce the movie? Because that was very underwhelming. So ultimately,
Mel's fuming because Mel likes musicals.
No, I'm trying not to puke, actually.
Then why do you have Mamma Mia tattooed on your neck?
Well, because I roll hard in the Italian circles.
Go ahead. Somebody got caught the other day.
so Everton
On a
signed.
run for 30 years in Sicily, by the way.
Pardon me. So Everton signed Sean Dyche to a contract through 2025.
Yes, Mel, that is a title. An underwhelming performance of Cats.
They signed him through 2025, which, by the way, I'm not against the appointment of Sean Dyche. I'm not at all, because as you had mentioned, what Everton needs is some old school fucking shakeup, and they need to be reminded of who the fuck they are.
Yep.
And we'll get to that.
Sure enough.
We'll get to that in just a moment.
Stone Cold Sean Dyche.
Yeah, that was fucking brilliant. One of the guys I follow on Twitter did a poster of Stone Cold holding the beer in the air, but with Sean Dyche's face on it, and it was fucking brilliant.
Yep.
And honestly, if Everton want to survive, which is, I think, ultimately what the board the board is about self-perseverance. They're about living another day.
If you want a chance to survive financial fair play, you have to stay in a fucking league.
And that's the guy.
Yeah,
And that's the guy you hire.
100%.
And that's the guy
Because it
you
ain't
hire.
Big Sam, as we've proved now.
Right, precisely. And so they bring him on, which is clearly, when you look at things like, oh, you know, Bielsa, a Mashiri guy, someone who wants to change the culture and make things happen. And I guarantee you, Thielwell was well behind. You know what? Hey, I'm okay going down for a year. Let's fucking figure this shit out. We're going to be all right. Kenwright going, no. We need an old, proper English manager. This is how we need to do things. And that's who he brings in. And I'm not against the appointment of Dyche, because I'm also of the opinion I just want to stay up. I don't want to go down.
Nobody does.
As a supporter, I just don't want to go down.
But that's Kenwright's idea also. He doesn't want to go down either.
Right.
Because why do a little-known Andrew Lloyd Webber musical when I can do fucking Cats?
Right. Poorly.
Actually, I think that is Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Okay, you're trying to beat that one into the ground.
Well, he wants to stay in the Premier League. He's just going to do it badly.
So I'm.
That's why he picked Cats instead of an up-and-comer.
I don't
that he could actually produce properly.
I don't have to do a shot of Malord, but I feel I need to do a shot of Malord because of all the shit that's happened this week. And then we're going to fucking panic buy a couple of fucking people. And it's going to be Theo Walcott and Shank Tuck fucking Tosin is who we're going to fucking sign. Yeah. You know? So it's going to fucking be.
Yes, it will be.
So here it is, a big old half shot like last week. I poured myself the big shot, and that's what I'm going to do every time we lose, unless like next week we lose to you like 2-0 and it was a tough fought match
a
and we looked
spirited
good.
Game.
Right.
Yeah.
Then I do a normal shot. But when we keep doing the shit we're doing, this is what I need to drink. And then I'm going to tell you about Dyche's training session today, which you're going to fucking love.
And while you're doing that, I will make reference to, I didn't know that the allure and luster and mystery
that shit sucks
around the Black Cat of Goodison was just an extra that escaped the dressing room.
Mel, he's found his new Potter joke. It's cats. That's his new joke.
But there's so much around it. It's so funny.
From the chat room, you know the joke is good if you have to explain it.
Explaining it makes it funnier. Who said that?
Probably Christian.
Does it just say Facebook user?
Yeah, if they're
God
commenting from the group, it just shows up as that.
I gotcha.
Hey, Mel.
Yeah.
I love the fact that our people get it. I just love the fact that they get it. Now,
Cats!
Dyche's training session today. There were pitchers.
Did they have to catch cats?
You would have thought so. Because
Not chickens, because they eat earthworms. Sean Dyche has banned those, much like Conte banned ketchup from the Spurs thing when he took over. You're not allowed to have chickens here. They eat the earthworms. Cats don't.
So the picture going around today was Dyche's first day of training. It shows him in full focus in the background with a shit-eating grin on his face with his arms crossed. And in front of him, out of focus, are 4 Everton players with their hands on their knees. Because apparently they had a run today.
Or they
A
just
whole
ate
lot
an
of a run
earthworm
today.
stew for lunch.
And here's the other one, Mr. Graham, that apparently is reported today as well. Everybody came out from the locker room at Finch Farm to get onto the training ground and do their thing. Dyche looked at all of them and said, I don't see any shin guards or socks on. You're not properly dressed. Get the fuck back in the locker room and get properly dressed.
There you go.
Because
You practice like you play. Much like we did in Dave's basement for a long time with darts.
But also apparently much like what was going on from Ancelotti on was just kind of a laxed attitude with Ancelotti and then Rafa and then Lampard was, you ain't got to. I remember now hearing that story. I remember the summer training session. Nobody had fucking shin guards on. Everybody was just like in ankle socks with their fucking cleats. And that was it.
Well, that means you're not putting tackles in practice.
Yeah.
Honestly, serious, all jokes aside.
Yeah.
That means you're not going 100 miles an hour. That means you're not doing the job.
So as much as
Because you want your players to be protected, obviously. Your shins are the number one places you develop trauma blood clots, which is why soccer players wear shin guards, because when you get tackled, that's where blood clots can form.
Well, it's also whenever anybody says to me, it's like, oh, yeah, soccer
There's also
players,
no meat to protect you there.
Soccer players roll around on the ground. My answer to them is,
they don't wear pads.
No. I say, hey, why don't you start at the end of the hallway and run? All I'm going to do is stick my foot out. I'm not going to kick you. All I'm going to do is stick my foot out.
With a metal stud on.
And no. My normal foot. And let that hit your shin. Tell me how that feels. Now imagine it's a metal fucking stud going into your shin, and it's only a piece of fucking plastic protecting you.
Yeah, people don't get it. I mean, the people that talk shit, I'm like, hey, you want to go to the bathroom for a minute? I'll show you the fuck, No, that sounded really. Never mind.
That's why. That is exactly why I shut the fuck up. See,
that sounded like a sex crime.
Just keep going.
Mel,
it sounded like a sex crime.
Comedic timing.
Yeah.
Spatial awareness.
We're just both we're gonna let him play that back in his head for a moment.
And I'm looking at myself going, emotional damage.
Let's just go ahead and let that one marinate.
By the way,
not good.
Christian requests whenever you do cats, you have to do jazz hands.
Cats.
Now, this is what I'm going to finish on, Sam, and you don't get to have the final thought. It's going to be mine. It's my fucking club.
Cats.
I will say the following.
Is that better?
As old school and archaic as it might be, it's exactly what this club needs. They need, we talked about the last time this team felt it had an identity was back in 2010 through 2013, where they were the people's club because they were hardworking, hard fighting.
100%. It was the David Moyes era.
In one practice, at least there's a fucking identity with this fucking team. And one of the things that I also have to say is, and I hate to admit this, we're now the hated club of the EPL. People don't like us. People want to see us go down. And I know there's friends of mine that are like, hey, we don't want to see Sammy's club go down. But for the most part, Everton are the fucking joke. And people are like, yeah, much like last season when we said, yeah, we're ready for Burnley to go down. I guarantee you, everybody that isn't an Everton fan is going, yeah, we're ready for Everton to go down.
Sure money.
Hipster choice? Still mad at Bournemouth. That might just be me. Don't know. All right, so I lost again prior
Michael
to...
B. Jordan now owns the club. He just did SNL. He's,
Yeah, it's a bit of it. It's not making any waves.
Heard. We've gone way too long.
Yes. I lost again. I'm down. What did I say last week? What is it now? 19,000, 1,900?
We all lost last week.
Yeah, it was horrible.
All of us lost.
You already know because I already said it. I don't even remember why I lost, but it was some mediocre club. Guns.
Okay, very good. What he wrote on the fly.
Oh,
nicely done.
Bang, right there.
Into the
I was
Dortz
trying
by
to
Rec
remember
couple
what I
losers.
bet. All I remember was that I lost. Anyway, so, Sammy, you also lost, and you're now doing something. What are you doing?
Well, I lost because Brighton couldn't beat fucking Leicester, who they should have beat. So I wrote, I'm a seagull, go fuck yourself, is what I wrote there.
I think that was the one that fucked me, too, actually, now that you say that, was that draw.
And I am now down $1,168.
Big Sam's Lock of the Week.
Mr. Graham, 11.1% of the time. It works 100% of the time. 2 more than you. That's all I got going for me right now. I'm going to hang on to that. Going big, Graham. 4-way parlay.
Nice.
Taking all favorites.
Kind of moved a little bit.
All favorites, which is going to fuck me. Villa, Brighton, Brentford, and Newcastle to beat Leicester, Bournemouth, Southampton, and West Ham at plus 685.
You got to say respectfully.
Yes, respectfully. No, not respectfully. I'm down $1,200. Not respectfully. Fuck you. Win emphatically. Make me feel better. That's all there is to it.
Nice.
I gotta win sometime.
And now, it's time for our degenerate gambling friend Pat's Pick of the Week.
Pat says, so now I'm down to $1,101 in the hole. And if you thought my last parlay was crazy, wait till you hear this shit.
He's already in bed asleep, by the way.
Oh,
He
quality.
was up late last night.
Oh, no, I don't know why. I was talking to him on the phone while he was up late last night.
Thanks for letting me know. Nobody told me he wasn't going to be here.
He didn't tell me he wasn't going to be here. I just told him we were recording late, and he didn't respond after that.
Nice. Just, fuck it. So I'm going
Through the magic of radio, by the way, Sam, nobody knows that. So now it sounds really weird when everything's seamlessly put together, and it just sounds like, hey, he wasn't here tonight.
That's why people love us.
Hashtag admin.
No, Mel, it's not. It's hashtag cats. I hope Christian's still watching, because if somebody just tuned in, this is going to be really fucking weird.
That better be worth the $5.
So I'm going to take a draw. This is also back to the quote from the email. So I'm going to take a draw between Everton and Arsenal. Okay.
Get it, son!
Fuck off. The Wolves over Liverpool. Wow. Aston Villa over Leicester and Manchester City over Tottenham. What? That was crazy. On a $100 bet, that pays out $6,740. Yeah, they think it's fucking nuts too, mates. I can't believe that payout for only a 4-gamer. I can, because everything you bet was probably plus 600. So that's what Pat bet. Now, I've got a conservative, very exciting 5-game parlay. A conservative 5-game parlay that's going to make, cats good again. Arsenal over Everton, United over Palace, Villa over Leicester, Brighton over Bournemouth, Brentford over Southampton. Everyone on the right side of this column is absolute dog shite. Everyone on the left side of this column are doing better than expected this season. Plus 835.
Not good gambling.
Plus 835. And I'm going to be winning after this week because both of you were down over $1,100. And my 835 will take me down to less than $1,100 down.
Terrible with money.
I'll be winning after this week on a 5-game parlay. And y'all are going to be
the one problem,
shitting the bed.
The one problem I have with my 4-gamer that I picked that you are going to have with yours is that we know when we look at all of this in injury time, Sam, which, by the way, when we preview injury time, how does one go about doing that?
Patreon.com/DU Football Show / Mike Rogers. Don't do that last part. Just / DU Football Show.
When we talk about that, a lot of bad teams are playing a lot of good teams. And the problem with that is, one of them are going to fucking...
Nah, they're not. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. All these people are on the ascendancy. Somehow Villa is on the ascendancy with Unai Emery as their manager. I still can't figure it out.
Oh, that was a pretty good segment. You know what's better?
A very good segment. I ran it exceptionally well.
The chicken.
Well, Kitty missed with the Chelsea draw and with Liverpool and sits at 10-9. So this week, I gave Kitty Arsenal heading to Everton. Now, I was shocked when I got up there. Graham was already sitting in the chair, holding Kitty in his arms, gently stroking her. Clearly, Kitty and Graham have a stronger bond than she and the guy, so I guess she's picking the Gunners to beat the Toffees.
In there he just did the whole cats bit. Like, clearly he doesn't have the bond that Kitty clearly thinks that they have together.
Are you kidding? Kitty loves cats. Have you not heard it blaring from up there? Who do you think turned him on to the musical?
Oh, that's it. When you were sitting in the chair, you were stroking Kitty, listening to
exactly. Cats. Meow, 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 mix. Oh, that's the wrong musical.
You're close, though.
Oh, that's a commercial.
Hey, look, explain it 4 more times. We'll all get it.
I will say my favorite musical. Remember to gamble legally and responsibly.
Championship Corner!
I've fallen and I can't get up.
Ow!
Oh, no. If I wasn't sick, that would have been much better. So just imagine that was in a lovely operatic voice.
No, it was by Bill Kenwright standards.
Mel.
Yeah, baby.
I've been with you now for damn close to 20 years.
Shut your mouth.
You don't have good pitch.
Everton's gonna doze so down.
One of us.
Just how
one of
many
us in
leagues
this.
down. Like
one
going
of
down
us-
this year is not bad, but next year.
One of us in this marriage has a good singing voice. The other one is Melissa. Please continue with Championship Corner.
Listen, Bopper. All right, this week of the championship, we only had a few games, nothing major. There's only 1, 2, 3, and one was postponed because of the FA Cup. That was also a makeup game. So yeah, Coventry versus Huddersfield finished 2-0 to Coventry. Hull City 3-0 over QPR. Borough 2-0 over Watford. That leaves your table looking something like Burnley up top on 62, 5 points behind to Sheffield United. Middlesbrough are 12 points behind Sheffield United in third place on 45 points. Watford in fourth on 44. Blackburn in fifth on 43. Norwich in sixth on 42. Luton on 42 as well in seventh place. They're in order. Goal differentials. Blackburn through Luton are -4, +9, +6. And Luton and Norwich obviously are only separated by a point in the table. That's going to be a really interesting race for that final couple of playoff spots. You have Millwall. Millwall are also on 42 points, +6 as well to Luton. But Luton have scored more goals than Millwall have, just by 2. So they're in that mix as well. Sunderland in 9th on 41. So again, they're pushing for those playoff places. Is this extra game, these injuries now with this cup run going to play a factor in how Sunderland finish out the season?
Sunderland does not.
That's going to be a big deal.
Sunderland does not need to get promoted next year.
They don't.
Need to get
No,
better.
you're absolutely right. They don't. But if that's what you're looking for a payday to help revamp the squad,
Yeah.
this is, this cup set potential is not great news with the injuries. This cup run is hurting you because of these injuries. And you go down the bottom side, we have unchanged because these teams didn't play. So you still have Wigan at the bottom, Blackpool in 23rd, Huddersfield in 22nd, and Cardiff in 21st. Just 3 points out of the drop zone on the same goal differential as Huddersfield. So in a bad way, and not very far out of it is Rotherham on 31 points.
That's going to wrap it up, boys and girls. Sammy, any parting words?
Not really.
We've gone an hour 45. The answer should be no.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's really anything happening other than Anthony Gordon's a bit of a cunt.
It's what it is. You look back at it and you think about how it's stunted the team this season. You just wish it would have happened during the summer, because there were quarters during the summer. His head was already turned. That money could have been better invested.
But like you said, there's timing, and then there's Mashiri.
Yeah.
We all knew Sean Dyche was going to take over. I've been reporting it for 3 weeks.
Well, here's the other thing, too.
The announcement was made today.
Yeah. Thursday, everybody knew. All the press was reporting that he was going to be the next Everton manager. It got made this morning at 8 o'clock on the East Coast. So 1 o'clock in fucking Liverpool. Like, everybody knew. It's the mess that Everton fucking football club is.
It is. You're absolutely right. Can Christian just comment that he's still watching quickly for my last parting word? Quickly, please say something.
We're on a lag, but Smokey's there, so.
Oh, Smokey's there?
Yeah.
Catch!
He says he's watching.
That was my big finish.
Thanks so much for joining us. Next up is Injury Time, where we're going to preview the weekend's action. We're going to talk about the beers we were drinking and check in on our adopted clubs.
He said he loved it.
Yes.
Nailed it. And spoiler alert, the Ibs had themselves a fucking weekend.
Ooh, can't wait.
They had themselves a weekend.
Sweet.
I'm not going to pitch it to you because you've said it enough already, you fucking whore.
Do it. Patreon.com/DU Football Show. Is that good enough?
Fosse.
Nailed it!
Till next week, everybody.
Good night.
Born in the land of Bowie, Maryland. Bred to be a fan of fucking Everton. Punch you in the eye and drink your rye. Sam Houston.
Sam Houston.
Arsenal fans have another Sam. Right day, the fucking Gooner Graham. Snub of my lord. Looks great in shorts. Sam Grammy.
Sam Graham.
Brooklyn United! Brooklyn United! Hit the fucking mute button!
Jesus, fuck me, Christ.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. It's so good.